Brad sends a question. I like it because he started off kind of like that one Dan Patrick show where you tell your weight and height. Brad says, 38-year-old male, 195 pounds, is 6'1". Bing! Dealing with all extreme fatigue from lifting weights and exercising in general, stemming from low T, low testosterone. Hopefully you got it measured and not just, Is easy strength appropriate while I work on bringing up my T levels? Or would Dan recommend something different? Does he have a lifting protocol for increasing testosterone? Not training for any sport specifically, just to stay healthy and enjoy my family as long as possible. I'm not a fan of testosterone replacement therapy or hormone replacement therapy, only because it seems like, to me, a lot of times people are taking a sledgehammer to an issue versus, I don't know where this is going. The more I read up, it's interesting how many fitness influencers are on testosterone replacement therapy. A very, very famous person online said for years that the reason he looked so good is because, he had meat and a piece of cantaloupe for breakfast. And later, I guess, admitted that he was on TRT. And it's like, well, which is it, Low testosterone, first off, for men especially, testosterone levels really do dance with your body fat levels. So at 38, I would say you're fairly young for low T. I sure hope you're getting doctor's help on this. And if you do go on TRT or HRT, please, there's no moral on me. Whatever you have to do to keep your health, I'm in. But the first thing I want you to think about is your body fat level. And then from there, how do we want to deal with it? I found it really interesting because in the last few years, I've been reading up a lot from Brad Pillen and some other people on fasting and some of the other stuff, because I think the toolkit I used to use to help people with fat loss was wrong. I fell into the same idea of, how do you deal with fat loss? Well, you make the person eat 8 times a day versus, Brad's book is Eat, Stop, Eat. You have to have a time to stop eating. One of the reasons I moved to intermittent fasting, well, let's just go through how I address this at my age. And I'm a full 30 years older than you, and I'm fine in that area, but I sleep. So the first thing I want you to think about, Brad, and I know I feel like I'm a broken record when I go through this, but my good night's sleep is really important to me because I think that's the best thing I can do for recovery, for my mental health, and my overall physical health. I do take a sleep supplement, and this isn't an ad because I get nothing from them. I use Hibernate, and if you're on my Wandering Weights, I have a link for a fairly nice savings of 60%. And I don't remember at the top of my head what it is. I get nothing for that, by the way. It's a product I like and a product I enjoy. Hibernate helps me sleep, and as I often joke, and it's cheaper than Scotch. How's your sleep doing? This is the first question. How is your sleep doing? Because if you don't take care of your sleep, then all this stuff is, you can do the injections or the pills or whatever, however it gets into your system. That's fine, but we got to address the sleep issue. And it's funny because I'm striving now to get 9 hours of sleep every night, and people keep asking me how I do it. And the answer is this: I go to bed. I don't stay up watching things late at night. On my social calendar, occasionally, I'll go to a jazz concert or something like that, and I'll get home a little late. But that's rare. Most of the time, I try to be in bed as early as I can because I'm striving long term to be as long. I want to be around as long as I can because I have, I've got 2 new grandbabies, and I want to be around for them. I want to be around. So how's your sleep? How's your sleep hygiene? Is your room dark? Is your mattress good? Is it at a cooler temperature? I like Hibernate because it assists me with getting to sleep. 9-hour sleep. The first thing I do in the morning, of course, is I start drinking coffee and I get rid of all my work, my business work. And then I do a workout, but I only lift 3 days a week. And I focus on big lifts, appropriate reps, appropriate sets, and appropriate load. And I always walk after. After I get done with my walk, I have a meal, high protein, lots of veg. I do some other things too, sauerkraut, kimchi. I am drinking more smoothies in the last few months because I'm trying to figure out ways. So I have a Vitamix, and the nice thing about a Vitamix is that you keep all the fiber and you keep all this, all you're doing is, and I tell you something, you can make kale taste really good with vanilla protein and berries. I'm just telling you, who to believe you can make kale taste good. And then later in the day, I do another protein and veggies meat, but I also meditate. So let's go through what I'm talking about here. Sleep helps your T levels. Fasting seems to have some support of of your T levels. Now, it could be because of the body fat losses, and it could be because of the magic of fasting. Please get an expert. I like Brad Pillon's work on there. I like Lean Gain's work on there. John Berardi did a nice little series years ago on intermittent fasting that I thought was really quite good too. Fasting seems to help. You'll notice I mentioned protein. I'm supposed to get in 150 grams a day of protein, according to my nutritionist, which is a lot of protein, at least if you're measuring it. Those are all simple ones. And of course, are you lifting weights? Any of you want, if anybody's on a diet or using fasting to lose body fat, but they're not lifting weights, I think they're missing the secret, but there is no secret. Are there supplements that you can help you with your T levels? It does seem that sunlight exposure helps. It's interesting because sunlight, vitamin D, let's just say sunlight because, sunlight seems to help with body fat levels. And now, chicken or egg time, does losing the body fat help you with T, or does sunlight help with your T and that helps lower your body fat? I don't know. But if you're not doing those basics, Brad, I want you to reconsider just the fundamentals and the basics. The next thing is, before you even try anything like a replacement, now this is medical advice, I have to be a little careful here, but I'd sure like to have you get a baseline, do some fairly simple interventions, more sleep, more sunlight, lift weights, go for a walk, eat protein, and then do a follow-up test, 8 weeks or so later, or whatever, longer if you want, and just really see if those simple interventions made a difference. That's what I think. I'm never comfortable talking about testosterone, to be honest with you, or if you read Heidegger's book, The Physiology of Strength, he's got that last little part in the book, the little blurb where he talks about that they're starting to experiment with testosterone and the improvement is nonstop. Testosterone is a hormone and it does wonderful things, but like anything, if you abuse it too long, you do set up a whole other set of issues that might be a problem for you if you're thinking about your longevity, okay? This isn't a sermon. This is not a homily. This isn't me pointing fingers at anybody. I'm just see if you can do it the natural way before you think of anything else. I learned this lesson from my coach, Dick Nottmeyer, who famously told me about anabolic steroids. He said, well, it jumps you ahead about 2 years. But he then stopped and he said, but the problem is you don't get those 2 years of lessons. So if you can fix a problem by going from 6 hours sleep to 9 hours sleep, that's a good lesson for the rest of your life. If you can fix a problem by eating more protein, that's a pretty good lesson in life. I hope I helped. I try not to be preachy on that one, but please consider the basics before you do anything else, okay? Thank you.